Hey, everybody, and thank you for joining another episode of Tag and Talk. I am joined by one of our most prominent, often requested. Everybody writes me letters. I can hardly keep them out of my mailbox.
So sure.
Spencer with Fintuition. Spence, what are we going to cover today?
I think it'd be interesting to talk about the similarities between flies these days and the lures that conventional fishermen use.
Oh, like some of these, maybe, perhaps? Maybe you can give us some tips on some steelhead, how that's been, huh?
Sure.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it, folks. We're diving in. So it's been a while since you've been here. What have you been up to? How has fishing been? What have you focused on? I know that we want to talk some flies and some other stuff, and bass is getting into the swing of things.
Yeah.
But real quickly, since it has been a while since you've been on, what's been up? How's it been?
Nah, I mean, honestly, not a whole lot. We've had, as you know, you live here too, but we've had crazy weather events in the Pacific Northwest. So, but long story short, our rivers are just kind of holding at a very high volume again, and it's tough to get out there. So when I haven't been able to fish locally, I've been jamming out to the Deschutes or trying to go out to the coast, fishing out there. It's weird how like the valley just kind of accumulates all that rain when it comes over. We just get hit with it, and everywhere else kind of has
gnarly.
like a weird little like level zone somehow.
It is gnarly. Yeah, when we get hit, it gets hit hard. And I mean, it is interesting to that point, like driving over the Clackamas and be like, okay, it's high, but it's kind of colors looking back. And then you drive over the Willamette still, and it's like, dude. It's
like brown.
And it's
like
just brown. Yeah, and just
everywhere
super flooded out almost.
Full on trees are coming down. You're like,
so,
what?
So how, as a quick recap, because I know there's other things you want to talk about, but how has steelheading been? Is that still going pretty strong? Yeah. Okay, so steelheading's good. Yeah. Again, I deleted the footage of the podcast kind of in the peak season. So how's that been?
Good. Yeah. They're holding strong. We're seeing summer fish showing up in our tributaries. Winter fish are still around. I mean, it's solid. When you can go, you should go. It's good. My buddy Colby just got 3 fish on his river the other day with a client on the swing. So, I mean, the gear dudes are probably slaying them. I've seen and heard many reports on my river that I like to guide on that they're doing really good. So summers are around, winters are there. I mean, it's solid still. It's great. Yeah.
Is your river fishable right now, or is it need a little time with all the rain?
I mean, you can fish it for sure. I'm one of those crazy dudes that'll fish it when people are like, no way.
Yeah.
As long as it's not like brown or like unsafe to take the boat out or wade the river, like I'm going for sure. Okay. Learn your rivers high, medium, and low.
Got it.
Always.
And any particular lures that have been working, colors, anything like that? Any hot tips you want to provide anybody?
Sure. Yeah. I got no secrets. So I mean, if you're a gear fisherman or a fly fisherman, rule of thumb is, I probably said this before on some of them. When in doubt, black it out.
Yep.
The black profile always shows up the best.
It's a good fishing tip in general, frankly. Yeah.
Things eat black and bugs look black, and whatever it is, it's probably a dark silhouette. So besides that, I will go with this. I have a color theory that I like to follow. So as a fly fisherman, there's something that I do with my fly choice is if the water is really low and clear, I'll go like a dark blue, dark red, something darker, black with a darker color, and then as it gets more like green, I kind of like to mix it up and maybe get a little bit more color in there. Maybe like purple, blue, pink, purple, that kind of stuff, start getting a little bit more vibrant with that. Red and orange comes into play a little bit more for me there. And then if it's really dirty, like it's got some tan to it, less steelhead green or ideal fishing colors. Yeah. I will go obnoxious, chartreuse. I'll go pink, cerise, whatever you want to call it. Bright.
Got it.
Just get obnoxious.
Get that visibility going.
Yeah. And choose your favorite confidence color in those situations. But I'd say like, a good rule of thumb, if you're going to throw spinners, bobber and jig, bobber and bead, spoon, plug, fly, whatever it is, what you need to do is just have a lure for all 3 of those conditions, because you never know what you're going to run into. Right. So that's my hot tip, I'd say.
Okay. So it's been pretty good. Little lulls here and there when the weather hits, but that's nothing out of the norm for steelhead season.
Yeah. I mean, if you can't take your boat out, there's still going to be a bank spot in high water.
Great.
Yeah.
Do you ever plunk for I mean, you don't really
No,
steelhead with anything
people
other
do
than
it.
a
It's
fly
successful.
anyway.
Yeah, it works. It
Yeah,
works.
you don't really.
I don't do it.
Yeah.
My brain is so ADHD. I could not sit there.
Just sit there and
No
wait.
way. Now the Sandy River, you can have a 2-rod endorsement. So I've thought about like plunking and then swinging a fly.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, that would be strategic. I like that.
Yeah, cover one lane
Why
you can't
not?
hit with your fly, and then just swing the
Yeah.
inside stuff. If they're gonna avoid that, they're gonna come into you. I think So.
You didn't get out for the smelt dip on Thursday, did you?
No, I've never done that. I have nothing
it's so
against
wild.
it, but it's crazy. Yeah, I'm like,
it's crazy.
For one, the crowd is like, I'm good.
It's wild.
Yeah.
I did it last year.
I heard the Lewis and Clark exit was backed up on the freeway.
I don't doubt that for a second. That was one of the wildest things. And then so that even this year, I'm like, I have plenty of smelt in my freezer still. I'm good.
Really?
Yeah, it was very fun just to be part of it.
Yeah.
And I have this dip net now that I'm like,
and
cool, I
they're
want to use
healthy
it.
for you to eat. Like,
Oh,
good
well,
for you.
Good for sturgeon bait. But yeah,
That too.
yeah. You know, I'm sure they are for somebody.
A lot of people like to pressure cook them and stuff like that. I've heard they're good. Like, they're just like, I couldn't do it, but I don't like any seafood.
We're two pieces of it. That's so weird that we're so into fishing and neither of us like to eat it at all. But it's bait for me and maybe food for somebody if they want it. But I read something in a local newspaper. Somebody got busted poaching them. They had over a ton worth of smelt, like 20. I might have been closer to 2,500 pounds of smelt. It was like 3 trucks worth.
Holy crap.
That is why they don't let us do that.
Yeah.
That is so annoying.
Yeah.
That is so annoying. It's so
I heard that they had a very, very good day of writing tickets, unfortunately.
I don't doubt that for a second.
Well, people take advantage of things. So,
yeah, I mean, great point. How many people took way over their allotted limit and got away with it?
Man, besides the smelt thing, not to go on a tangent, but I kind of the reason why I stopped fishing a lot of stocked spots is because I've seen people take their limit, go to the truck, and then come back and fish for another limit. And it's
that's
just
definitely
like,
a thing. Yeah.
You're like, man, I just can't.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing.
Don't do that.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing. Yeah, for sure.
It's crazy.
But so we were talking about steelhead and the way the weather is and where we are in the year. But there is that other species that is firing up. I know that I haven't been able to get out as much and chase them seriously. You've seen great reports from local lakes, but those bass are starting to bite.
Yeah.
The water temperatures are, let's see, where was I? I know the Willie's almost 50. Hag Lake is got to be over 50 by now. Low 50s probably. I think last time I was there.
Gotta be.
Where I was the other day was 51 to 54 compared to where, so it's like they're about to hit that if they aren't already. They're pretty much in pre-spawn.
I'm going to try and get on my local tributaries out here soon and see how they're firing. I know they're still a little cold. From what I can tell, they're around 56, 46, 47 degrees still. But I feel like the river might be a little different than the lake, to be honest with you.
Yeah, for sure.
So I want to go hunt. Hopefully it'll be available, but I want to go try and hunt.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you. Yeah, it's I was catching them at this time last year, but again, it wasn't 110,000 CFS and completely mud.
Insane.
It was the river was normal.
Insane.
So maybe a week or so, but I don't know how much more rain we're getting. I haven't even checked, but anyway, so that's firing up. I know that you love the bass as much as anybody. You're a fly fisherman. Are you going to have a bass program for guided trips this year?
Oh yeah. I've been doing that for a while now. Like the last 2 years, I've been doing the smallmouth stuff on the fly.
So what do you do and what are you doing to prepare for bass season? Because I'm sure you're thinking, all right, as well as I do. This is right around the corner. I'm kind of here.
What are you doing? On as soon as the rivers let us go fish. I think it's on. Yeah.
I wouldn't disagree with you. So how does that work? Like what are you going to be working on this year? What kind of gear are you going to use? What kind of flies are you going to use? How do flies work? How does that work? Because I'm not a fly fisherman. I kind of go with you, kind of watch a little bit, but we got our swim baits. It always is intriguing to me how similar some of the streamers start to look and all the new things you're busting out with some top water, like popper type things. And it's fascinating to watch the kind of similarities, the comparisons and the contrast between the way we fish, because a lot of it's very, very similar.
Yeah.
What are you doing to prepare for it? And then tell me a little bit about flies that you're going to use and how they work and compare and contrast to gear.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly kind of where my mind was at when I hit you up about this podcast idea. So, I mean, let's dive right in. Besides getting ready, like gear wise, like prepping the gear, checking the rods, checking new lines, leaders, if you're not a fly fisherman, I'm getting new fluorocarbon, I'm getting new spools of that. I'm getting new monofilament ready, just packing the bags full of all my most popular baits and whatnot, and like getting that stuff dialed, right?
Okay.
Besides that, what I really like to do is try and get into the bass's mind, right? And I like think like a fish. And so pre-spawn, right?
That shouldn't be too hard for you.
Try. It seems to kind of come naturally.
Seems to.
Each species is a little different, and I get mixed up. But
which species is the most sociopathic?
Coho and smallmouth.
Which as we've discussed, they do have similar profiles. The coho and the smallmouth bass of the salmon world or whatever. Anyway, sorry.
They're maniacal.
That was the right answer, by the way.
They're maniacal
you
critters.
Pass.
I'm glad. It's the one thing I pass at. So, I'm thinking like it's pre-spawn time, right? They're coming out of their haunts from winter and they're going to move up into the shallows. They're going to bed. They're going to find partners. They're going to get aggressive and they're going to feed. So I first off think about where am I going to target them, because not all systems are the same as far as food sources. And that's a huge thing for any predator is what are they eating at that time of the year? Not just what are they doing, but what are they eating? So I'm going to analyze that. If it's a lake, there's probably a lot of crawfish. There's probably night crawlers, there's worms, there's bugs, big bugs. So leeches are a big thing.
Got it.
Bait fish, obviously. So you have a wide assortment of options for lakes. When it comes to rivers, it can kind of narrow it up because there's more moving water. It's a cooler temperature, meaning that there's less food, like insects and things like that. And so typically it becomes a bait fish game in the river.
Yeah.
Crayfish and bait fish.
Got it.
So
got it.
Dr. Seuss in them right there.
Got it.
Crayfish, bait fish.
Yeah, I love that.
And so it really makes it easy for me as a fly angler because I just need to fish different sizes and colors of the bait fish. And obviously I need a crayfish pattern. So I can bounce the bottom and I can fish the top water columns. And then obviously poppers come into play too. We all love poppers, whether it's a frog pattern or just like a disruption on the top. Where it differs slightly for me than I think a lot of conventional anglers, the fly guys have the opportunity to throw very small, delicate things. So you do see smallmouth bass sip mayflies or dragonflies, damselfly nymphs, that type of stuff off the top. I can fish my small trout patterns and take those super finicky, smart, big bass in a creek that you can see they're about 18 inches, but like throwing your whopper plopper or something at him's going to spook them right away. And like what am I going to do?
Right.
Throw a Ned rig? What am I, like, everything's going to spook them. Yeah. You need to throw it on top and let it sit and like let them analyze it, right? And got it. I think my fly game kind of gives me an advantage in some of that. Just rivers,
skinny
mostly.
water. Yeah. Got it. Awesome.
But when I'm getting ready for that, that's kind of what I do is I take a lot of the forage mostly, and then besides the foraging, I look at what the gear fishermen do and what the conventional tackle you guys have, and I try to replicate that movement, that profile, and that just action of it in my fly design. Okay. I use material and design to try and mimic your guys' stuff. That's really it.
So is that something that, so would you say, knowing what you know about the history of fly fishing and bass, I mean, I'm sure people have been fishing bass on flies for, I don't know where it started, but I know it's not anywhere near new, right? I'm sure it's been
people have been doing it.
So is that, so I'm wondering, like, and I don't know if you know this, but like what came first? Some of the gear that bass fishermen use on conventional tackle, and then flies are replicating that, or were fly tires kind of making things similar to what bass guys, like what really did come first?
I think, I think it's the gear probably came first for bass.
Okay.
And that's just because it got most popular from that. Yeah. Bassmaster championships, that kind of stuff, tournament fishing, just in general. It wasn't like the fly fisherman's thing. Yeah. Trout was the fly fisherman's thing. Dry fly fishing, a river runs through it, blah, blah, blah. Yep. And then like the spay game was kind of the thing, the big two-handed rods. Like bass weren't really the ideal species unless you lived in a certain area. And then out here, it's starting to become popular because
bass fishing is becoming popular.
Yeah, in the Northwest, I should say, specify.
Yep.
And our fly community is starting to really pick up on that because it also allows our trout to have their refuge in the hot summer days when it's too hot to fish for them safely. Steelhead are kind of a dwindling number. It's hard to catch a coho. You know, Chinook are almost impossible on the fly. So what species can I catch? And they're only 20, 30 minutes away. People are finding that out. And that's cool. That's good. But I think it's just like a really unique thing that people didn't really think about in the past because they were such a poo-poo species, especially in our neck of the woods, right? It was like, oh man, they're eating everything. Like, get rid of them.
Such a funny word.
Poo-poo. Yeah. It's pretty funny. There's a lot of different ways to say it.
Okay.
But yeah, you know what I mean though, right?
Yes, I know what you mean. Sorry, that was
you talk to the average guy in Oregon and it's trout, salmon, steelhead. Like bass is like, why? I eat them. It's like, oh, bummer.
Yeah. So, okay. That would be my assumption. Is exactly what you just laid out.
I think gear came first to take that long-winded ass answer and shorten
No,
it
it
up.
was really good. No, I'm glad. No. Yeah, no, it wasn't. That's good. I'm glad you did kind of articulate your thinking there because I find it very interesting to understand how things move and change. And like, the speed, like you steelhead and salmon are a great example. I mean, they're these things change, right?
Oh yeah.
The numbers change, 100%. The opportunity changes, the regulations change, the seasons change. So you have to adapt, and that makes perfect sense. Now, you mentioned that you look at bass gear and create fly patterns to kind of replicate that or replicate what you think is that that bait is trying to do. See if you can translate that, as if you will, to a fly.
Oh yeah.
Is that a common thing in the fly world? Is that a trend, or is that really kind of something that you've decided to do and maybe you see some others doing it, but like...
Man, I wish I could take the credit for it, but 100% not me at all. I just take a lot of people who have been in this game way longer than I have and have figured this stuff out, and I just throw my little twist on it, right?
Got it.
So I'd say like some of the biggest names in our industry that I could think of, and I've never met these people. I've only met one of these guys, and he's super awesome. But the other big figures I've never met. Like I don't even know if some of them are alive or not anymore. I don't know them. I just know that their names are really prominent in streamer design and bass fishing stuff.
Got it. Okay.
And so like Bob Popovic is a guy. He creates like huge deer hair streamer patterns and stuff, so like that kind of stuff is pretty cool. He has this really cool pattern called a deceiver, and like that's a super famous baitfish pattern that we still use the platform of to create our own flies with. So when someone's like, oh, I made this, it's chances are it came from one of these dudes' flies. You know what I mean? We just put our spin on it, change the materials up.
I see.
The other guy that I follow a lot of stuff from currently is Blaine Chocolate. Blaine Chocolate's insane. This guy...
That's a sweet name, too.
Dude, his company's even cooler. The Chocolate Factory.
Okay.
He's a legend. He's the shit, dude.
Yeah, I love that.
So Blaine Chocolate is rad. He came up with the Game Changer platform. Game Changer is those flies you've seen me bring in the boat where they're all tied on like tiny articulating spines, and you put them together and they just wiggle like crazy, right? They're like an actual bait fish movement. So this guy took the whole streamer game and like mimicking a true forage of these predator fish to a whole nother level. And if you tie them and distribute weight a certain way, I can actually create these flies to do like what a jerk bait would do, what a crankbait would do, what just like a standard rubble paddle tail would do. It's like insane what we can make flies do, because these guys have not only created the shape, the silhouette, learn what material moves the best and pushes water the best, but then you include that with this new like spine design where you're actually getting these joints to move like a fish, and it's just like they're not even like flies anymore, it's insane.
Well,
it's insane.
That does bring up an interesting question, one that we have discussed before. We'll get into that. So I mean, do you have like a favorite fly?
Yeah.
Like, do you like building these more than other ones? Is there one that you like?
Oh yeah.
These are cool.
Every species has their own favorite for me.
Right.
But there's always like one fly that I could just sit down and crank out.
Yeah.
and it's based off of one of Blaine Chocolate's Game Changer style flies, or on the platform of the shanks, I should say. But one of the like most prominent bass outfitters, they're called Schultz Outfitters.
Okay.
These guys design insane articulating bass flies, and they have this one called the Swingin' D. But it's like 5 to 7 inches big, depending on how you want to tie it. And that thing just moves and wiggles and kicks like a crazy son of a gun. And I've caught my biggest and most of my biggest fish in that thing. And,
cool.
It's fun to tie. Takes a while to tie, but it's fun to fish, and big fish love it. So it's just like my absolute favorite smallmouth bass fly. Really hard not to fish that thing.
I love it.
Yeah. What about you? Actually, I'm curious about you. What's your favorite way to bass fish? Favorite lure? If you could choose any lure and just like all day, every day, no matter what.
Well, I was more curious about which one you actually like making, like tying.
Yeah, Swingin' D.
Okay. Because I certainly don't make anything. So probably a jerkbait. I love jerkbaits.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what
the
it is.
Swingin' D is almost like a jerkbait, so we're kind of like hand in hand on that. Yeah. It's like a power fishing technique.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Again, it's like something it's nice to mindlessly do cast and retrieve. So sometimes I like, crankbaits. I was really into when I first started bass fishing. And even then it's like, you don't really just necessarily mindlessly retrieve, you want to give a little like
to it. Yeah.
But I don't know, there's something about that. Just pop, and just really kind of like
getting
into the fish's head,
There's something about working a lure to entice that fish and trick him to eat it.
Exactly right. It's like you got to get it in its head, like you said, It's like 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Is that what it really wants? Slower, faster, and it works year round.
He gets it.
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like you said, there's several.
Oh man,
when they slam a chatterbait or something, that's usually.
I mean, even just finessing a Ned rig and like feeling the take. That's a fun thing. That's an art in itself. Like,
there's no doubt.
That's fun.
But, coming from so much finesse fishing, I also get really excited when I'm fishing jigs and finally get a fish and I get to actually like
when do you get a whale
sack.
one.
Yeah. Wow,
like
it's just like, that's a good feeling.
You've had all week.
Take that, you son of a bitch, fish. Yeah, no, we love and respect the fish.
That's why I love fly fishing for them, because it's such a heavy tippet, like heavy leader, whatever you want to call it. I'm strip, I feel it, and I just freaking like, get over here. I want to see you. And I just rip on them, and it's fun, man. It's just fun to get them. They eat hard, and then I can strip hard, and then it's just fun. It's a battle.
I'm really hoping the next week or so
we're going to get you on some on the fly this year.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'll give it a shot.
Fun.
You bet.
It'll be fun.
What else did you want to say about bass lures and the way that's trending and your kind of creation there?
Yeah.
Before we move on to like going to get them, because there is this underlying question that I have that I want to get to.
Okay, I'm excited for it. I didn't know you had one.
Well, we've discussed it, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
We're gonna do it here.
All right, sweet. Long story short, I didn't really have much on the brain other than I was tying a fly last night, and I was just like, every time I'm tying a fly, whether I'm following somebody's recipe or following a platform from one of these legendary tires or something, it's always, what can I do to make this thing act like their food? And then it's like, well, fly fishermen do that. That's all you guys are trying to do. It's at the end of the day, we're all really not that much different. It's just kind of about having fun out there and doing it the way you want to do it. And I just think it's kind of cool that like, the funny that you asked that question, which came first, because it's like, we're totally trying to just rip people off as fly fishermen. We're always just trying to find the best way to do it.
That's funny.
We're doing finding the best way to do it, which is the gear. It's the most effective way to fish. Find fish, learn what they want, how to fish for them, find structure, because you're going to lose a bunch of crap. It's the best way to learn, plain and simple. But you can take those things and do it the way you want to do it and still have fun. Reality of it is, it's about having fun. So there's no right or wrong.
It's
just
at
I just
the
think
core.
It's kind of crazy how we're all very similar at the end of the day.
Oh yeah. At the core, there's a set of fundamentals, and it's learning the fish behavior. I mean, at the very core of it, it doesn't matter how you choose to get them. You have to understand what the fish are doing, like you were talking about. That coming out of winter pattern.
Totally.
I mean, you talk about the feeding and where they're going to bed, and that's exactly where anybody who's bass fish is going to start. They're going to go, where did you winter? Where is your bed going to be? And you try to intercept them and all their points, their routes to get there. And that's no different.
No.
So once you learn the bass behavior, now you have this arsenal of things you get to choose from. And that kind of goes into the question that I was going to throw out there as almost a little like philosophical debate, but I think you jumped to something I was thinking about throughout the day after you texted me. We landed in the same area, actually. So the question that I had, and I threw it out to you the other day, and by the way, your realization, hold on, one other thing. I can't remember if it was you or Tyler, but I was out with somebody and I was saying, we're talking about, oh, there's a bait fish. I'm going to bust out this swim bait, that kind of color, that kind of size, because we need to match the hatch. And it was like, oh, you match the hatch too? I'm like, yeah, I know it's kind of a fly terminology, but we do the same thing.
Yeah.
And so that was interesting that was kind of like, oh yeah, I guess you guys do that. It makes perfect sense. It's just fundamental fishing knowledge.
100%.
What are they going to eat? Get something that kind of looks and acts like that, put it in front of them, catch fish. Make sure hook is on it.
Yeah. Exactly.
No hook, hard to catch fish unless you're noodling, which
or you're just a psychopath and just want to have fun seeing how long you can fight a fish.
Bow and arrow. Okay, there's lots of ways you can kill a fish. But so the question is, if flies are looking more and more like conventional gear, and this just goes to show you my mindset, why not just use conventional gear?
Because it's more fun to fly fish.
And there you go. And so like what, and that's exactly what that conversation gets into. That's why it's philosophical, because what the enjoyment that you get out of that technique is what makes you enjoy it more.
Yeah.
And for somebody doing conventional, there's like other aspects of that somebody might have more of a draw towards.
Yes.
And so you remember the conversation we got into the other day, you made a very, very good point, which is like fly fishermen are kind of fly fishing for a different reason. And like serious hardcore bass fishermen tend to have a lot of money in boats and electronics and all of this other stuff that's like not really at the core of the fly fishing essence and culture and
100%.
purpose. That's not to say that there aren't differences within that culture and people might take that to a different level, but it's like, it kind of got to me. It's like, there's a purism to it. There's and not in a negative way, but it's like, all right,
100%.
Let's see if I can do this in a more challenging way and challenge myself and push and push. And then I'm the kind of person that would always rather I would rather just go as fast and as possible and get as much out there as I can and cover as much water and move and move and move. And I love the technology part of it, where some people are like, that's too much. That's not fun to have to learn a fish finder and then get 3 and then have to dick with motors or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's like, they're just two different ways of getting to the same thing. And some people have a draw and find a beauty and fulfillment out of one, and maybe somebody else finds the same thing out of the other. Yeah. And it was really interesting to me to kind of think through that.
Yeah, and I should elaborate and not just be so like quick to just answer like, oh, it's more fun. It's what a lot of us who fly fish enjoy more, because it's an art and it's more fun for us to create a fly or try to match that fly, because it all comes back to matching the hatch. We are trying to get in the element. We're trying to get into the fish's mind. We're trying to be one with them in the water source that they live in. We are literally trying to just take ourselves as a human being out of the equation.
Yeah.
Whereas, and it's no disrespect against gear fishermen, because I love it too, but we're trying to go find them. We want to catch them. We want to get them. We want to have them. Right. Like, it's a different mindset. 100%.
I totally get it. What I mean? Yeah.
And that I get that day a lot where I'm like, I'm going to go get them. And I grab my gear rods. I hit you up. I fish with you gear all the time. I bring the fly rod. Sometimes I barely even touch the fly rod.
Well, this is what I love about you. And it's why I can have these conversations, because there are people who fail to be able to or willing to try to understand what's in it for the other person, and even understand that other people may not see what you find valuable. And it's just like, to each their own. There's nothing wrong with it. But then you definitely get those purists who would like look down at it or poop or whatever that is.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know that I would love to tie flies, but I also know that that's tedious. Like, and I wouldn't like, I get the draw. Like, I can understand that appeal. And at the same time, I was thinking about myself too. It's like, I am the kind of person who I would rather be fairly deep into a lot of things, and I'm not like, there's just something I would rather do a bunch of different stuff than get like really good about this whole world. And I mean, it just takes time and investment. It takes it takes commitment. That's the right word I'm looking for. It's like, you got to commit to, I'm going to do my ties and this. And do you ever get bored of it? Like, do you get sick of tying flies? And like, you do? Okay.
Yeah. Get tired of fishing. Get tired of doing all of it, man.
We just talked about that before we started. I was just like, I need the bass to quit being so finicky so I can get my passion back. Yeah, I feel
I get tired of it all. It's hard. It's a very difficult sport.
It's an investment.
No matter if you're a gear fisherman or if you're a fly fisherman, it's a difficult thing mentally and physically and financially. And so you're always wondering, is it worth it? Every day, you're wondering, like, is it worth it today to go out? It's a great day. Sick. It was worth it. Bad day. Should I do it again? It's hard. And it really comes down, for me, it came down to it like a couple years ago when I became a fly fishing guide more than just a fishing guide. Mm-hmm. It was, this is my lifestyle. This is who I am.
Yep.
This is what I'm doing.
Yeah. Part of your
identity. If you don't like it, bye-bye.
Yeah.
And, I got lucky enough to have a family that supported it. My wife supports it.
Yeah.
She doesn't like it all the time. She voices her opinion a lot. It's exhausting on both of us, man. It's hard.
Doubt.
It's a very hard thing to do, to be a fisherman, whether it's a job or a fun hobby.
Yeah.
Outdoorsman, let's just call it that.
Yeah.
It's difficult and it's expensive thing on everybody involved.
And to that point, you've made a lot of sacrifices. Yeah. But so you've made a lot of sacrifices because it's like, we'll talk about hunting season and you have some interest in that, but you also are like, I gotta fish.
Yep.
Like, you're out deer, fall turkey, spring turkey. I mean, and you're like, this is when trout are biting and my bass program started. And it's like, that's the kind of stuff that makes, you have to make a choice sometime. Do you want to like make this your world or do you want to spread it around? And like, I suppose I could get to the point where if I'm buying flies and I'm doing it every now and then with a fly rod, that's no big deal.
Yeah.
Right. But to just like become a fly fisherman, I feel like that's such a commitment.
Yeah. I mean,
it's amazing. I'm sure it's totally worth it for a lot of folks. But for me, it's like, it seems like a lot.
Well, even if I wasn't a fly fishing guide or a fly fisherman, it would be like, I fish. And to me, it was like, that's why I chase so many things. Yeah. And I forced myself to give them up. I know I could do it all year if I wanted to on places I could travel and get that one fish. I could be a diehard summer steelheader. I could be a diehard winter steelheader, trout angler, bass angler, crappie angler, walleye angler, sturgeon angler. I want to fish as much as I can all year round. Yeah. And so it's what's good right now. That's what I'm doing.
Yep.
And I just force myself to get good at those. And then I chose a fly.
Yep.
But I once gear fished quite a bit.
Yeah.
And that's how I got so dang good at fly fishing, is because I would take everything I did with gear and just be like, how can I do that on a fly rod now?
Yeah.
It was like, what's the next step? And so like, I think we're way more effective with gear. We learn the most with gear. If you're that serious about it and you want to get better at fishing, gear fish a little bit. Find a technique and gear fish a little bit. Learn your river, learn your species, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, you're always going to match the hatch.
Either way, if you know what you're doing. Now, do you think, because there's a difference between, and it could be both, do you think you're more effective with gear or do you think you're more efficient with gear?
I think both.
Okay.
I think you're more effective because you can be more efficient. I think it's easier to make more casts.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
Gear gets in the water faster. It stays down deeper longer. I think it flutters better. It's designed to work for you, not you make it work. And I think you're just in the win all around, from the rod in your hand to the freaking thing tied to the string at the end.
Yeah, got it. Yep. Yeah. That makes total sense.
Mm-hmm.
But, I do hear that I need to, I know, I don't know. I'm reserving opinions for when this finally happens, but I've been told once or twice by somebody that I need to like land a good size smallmouth on a light fly rod and see how that feels. I've heard
you need to land any smallmouth on the fly rod, and I can 100% tell you that you'll be like, this is one of the coolest things I've done.
I will reserve judgment.
There's two things, and this is to you and the people.
The people.
A red side trout on the Deschutes on a 5-weight fly rod. Catch them the right way, do it fun. You will be mind blown how fun that is.
All right.
Smallmouth bass on the fly.
I love it, man. Well, all right, fine. I'm going to have to give it a shot.
Yeah, we need to make it happen.
For sure. All right, brother. Anything else you want to say to the people other than that last little tip there?
No, that was more than I planned on. And honestly, that was awesome. So thanks, man.
Oh, that
was
you
fun.
gotta. I know we need to do this more regularly, and I need to not delete the footage after we do.
Yeah, let's hope that stays.
Yeah, we're gonna. Let me just say I learned a few things. Anyway, as always, Spence, where can folks find you if they want to book you for a trip?
Yep, my Instagram at Spencer Pelham. My business is Fintuition LLC, so www.fintuitionllc.com. Yeah.
All right, brother.
Hey, man.
Let's get on the water soon.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Like, subscribe, do all the things. Support the channel. We really appreciate it. Been a little hit and miss lately with travel and some non-fishing stuff and all of that. All the weather's been rough, but we're just about getting into serious bass season, and then that's followed by summer. It's like fishing is on over here.
These people don't even know
what's coming. Stops for you, but for me, there's a little lull.
They don't know what's coming.
All right, dude. See you on the next one, folks. Later.